welcome to your maths video for Monday the 1st of March. This is your video if you're somebody who's got the Year 2 booklet. Today's task is to complete pages 58 and 59 where we'll be learning about 2D shapes. So make sure you've got your booklet ready, so that's pages 58 and 59 with your pencil and a whiteboard and pen. Okay, today's warm-up then is to continue the pattern. So here we've got a repeating shape pattern. It goes square, circle, triangle, circle, square. Your task is to find the next 5 shapes. Now you can draw this on your whiteboard, or if you'd like to continue the colour pattern that we've got there as well, you could do it on some paper or in your purple book and you can colour it in. I'd like you to draw it to scale. And that means recognising that the squares in the pattern are bigger than the circle. So that needs to reflect on your pattern. So a square and a smaller circle. And then we get a bit bigger again to the triangle of similar sizes from the triangle to the square. And then a smaller circle. So I want to make sure that your shape pattern is drawn to scale. So it looks like that. So find me the next 5 shapes. I can't wait to see who does it. I've noticed that lots of you are doing really well in your learning and are doing great in your warm-ups too. So a big well done to Emily and to Brooke and Carter. I spotted some lovely work from you last week. I'm really impressed. Okay, so today's learning objective, it says, can I name, label and describe 2D shapes? Now, we all know lots of 2D shapes and we know the names of them. Today we're going to have a little think about their properties and how to describe them. Now, we've not done shape for a long time in school, so I know we haven't done it in year 3 and you probably would have missed some of it in year 2 unless you've done some at home in your home learning. So it's perhaps been a bit of a long time, so we really need to refresh our memories with our shapes. So today we're looking at 2D shapes, and 2D stands for 2-dimensional, and 2-dimensional means it's flat. So it's got a length and it's got a width, a shape has, but it hasn't got a depth, a thickness, a 2D shape, because it's flat. Okay, so today we're going to have a little look at the properties of 2D shapes. So we've just seen, I'll go back to it, the square. We all know that's a square. So today we're going to have a little think about describing the properties of a square. So I'm going to ask you a question. You can shout it out, shout it at your screen. How many sides has a square got? I'm sure you said it straight away. It's got 4 sides. Can you tell me anything else about a square? Have a little think. Sure, some of you might be able to say something, but some of you might be a little bit unsure, and that's okay. By the end of today's lesson, you'll have lots more to say. So I'm sure some of you said, well, a square has got 4 equal sides. So all of the sides are the same length. Okay, so they're all equal. Some of you might have said it's got 4 corners. And we're going to have a little think. We're going to learn a special name for corners. And we're going to talk about how we can describe 2D, so 2-dimensional flat shape. So remember, 2D, it's got a length, it's got a width, but it's got no depth, it's got no thickness. So it is flat. Okay, so we've got another 4-sided shape. We've just seen the square. What's the difference? What's different about a square and about a, I'm sure you've said the name, a rectangle? Because they've both got 4 sides, but what's different about them? Well done if you can spot that in a rectangle, all of the sides aren't equal. So the top and bottom sides are equal. And you can see on this rectangle, when it's turned this way, the top and bottom are the longer sides. Okay, and we've got two equal shorter sides. So we've got four sides still, but they're not all equal. So two sides are longer, two sides are shorter. And of course, here it's the top and bottom which are longer, but we could turn it around. Is it still a rectangle? It is. And this time, the top and the bottom sides are shorter and the sides are longer. And we could turn it that way. Is it still a rectangle? We could spin it round that way. Is it still a rectangle? So it doesn't matter which way our shape is turned. If it's four sides with two longer sides and two shorter sides, it's going to be called a rectangle. Okay. We can describe then a shape by its name, so naming it, how many sides it's got, and another way to describe a shape and its property is how many vertices it's got. Now a vertice is where the sides meet, okay? So this here, we've got this line and the bottom line meeting in the corner to make a point. So those sides, those lines are meeting to make a point, and that's called a vertice. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 vertices. So that's another way we can describe shapes. So it's name, how many sides, and how many vertices it's got. So let's say that together. Vertices. You say? Vertices. So remember, vertices are where the sides meet to form a point. Okay, next up we've got this shape. Let's count how many sides it's got before we reveal its name. Now, you might know already just by looking at it what it is, but if you're unsure, it's useful to count how many sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if you don't know the name of a six-sided shape, don't worry, we often forget some of these shape names. Have a little look on your learning page on page 58. Okay, so on page 58 you can see it tells you the names of shapes you need to know. It tells you all some useful information about their properties. So it talks about lines of symmetry. And at the bottom, we've got the name of a six-sided shape. Can you find it in your booklet and say it out loud? Well done if you know that a six-sided shape is called a hexagon. Now, at the bottom of page 58, it tells you all of the different names. Now, shapes with straight sides are called polygons. So a hexagon is part of the polygon family, and that just means it's a shape with straight lines, with straight sides. Okay. Now, we often forget a hexagon's name, so I've got a little trick to help you remember. Now, we need to remember that a six-sided shape is called a hexagon. And when we write the word six, so we write the number 6 in words, it's spelled S-I-X, 6. S-I-X. Now it's got a hex in. Okay, now hexagon has also got a X in. Now, we don't often come across words with X's in, not that often anyway. So that's a way of remembering. If it's got 6 sides, remember, it's got that hexagon, so six, hexagon, and that's one way of remembering. Okay, remember then, vertices are where the sides meet to form a point, and the vertices on a hexagon, there are 6. So let me circle them for you. So we've got the lines meeting there, the sides meeting there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when you're looking at polygons, so shapes with straight lines, you'll notice that however many sides it's got is however many vertices it's got, because it's where the sides meet to form a point. Let's say that word again together, vertices. So I say vertices, you say, I'm sure you can say it great, vertices. Now, if there's one vertice, it's called a vertex. It's got a different name. So if it's just one, it's a vertex. So if I was saying this vertex here, I'd be wrong. I'd have to say this vertex here, because I'd just be looking at this one. So one on its own is a vertex. Can we say that? Vertex. But all together they are vertices. Vertices. I'm sure you can say it great. Okay, here we've got a 1, a 2, a 3-sided shape. What is a 3-sided shape called? I'm sure you know, it's a triangle. Now, I've just said if it's a shape with straight lines, however many sides it's got is however many vertices it's got. So how many vertices on a 3-sided shape? I've just given the answer. Shout it at me. It's 3. Okay, so we've got 1 here. Those lines are meeting, those sides are meeting to form a point. We've got another one and a third one there. Okay, here we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-sided shape. Shout that name out to me. Remember, if you're not sure, page 58 has got the names at the bottom to help you. That might be useful in your questions today. Well done if you know that a 5-sided shape is a pentagon. Okay, now remember, a pentagon is a polygon. It's got straight lines. So if it's got 5 sides, how many vertices is it going to have? 5, of course. Well done if you knew that. So, whoops, let's get my pen, that'd help. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay, you all know the name of this shape. I think it's one of the first shapes we learn the name of. Of course, we know it's a circle. Now, I've just revealed how many sides it's got. So a circle has got 1 side. But whenever I ask this question, when I'm teaching shape, I'll say, how many sides has a circle got? And lots of children, and I can understand why, are very tempted to say 0. It's got 0 sides. Because when we're looking at shapes, like polygons with straight lines, it's very easy to count those sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we often associate sides with how many straight lines we can count. Well, a circle is round and curved. It's quite hard to count. But if it had no sides, it wouldn't be there, it'd be invisible. So you've got to imagine when you're drawing a circle, okay, so I'm going to draw my circle. I'm going all the way around until my line meets. So it's got 1 side that goes all the way around, continuously. It just keeps on going. So it's got one side. Now, remember vertices are where the sides meet to form a point. How many vertices do you think a round, curved, circular circle has got? How many points has it got? Well done if you know. It's 0. So because it's just got the one side that goes all the way round, the lines don't meet to form a point. It hasn't got any. Okay, here I've got an 8-sided shape. Now, if you forgot the name, don't worry. If you know it, shout it out now. Okay. Now, if you have forgot, this is my clue. This shape has got 8 sides. Think about an animal with 8 legs. What's it called? Oh, it's an octopus, isn't it? An octopus has got 8 legs. Can you remember the name of the shape now? It's not octopus, of course, but it's a octagon. Okay, so that's how I remember that an 8-sided shape is an octagon. I think of octopus. It's got the oct, and that means 8. Okay, so if it's got 8 sides, how many vertices will it have? Remember, it's a polygon with a straight line, so 8 sides means it's got 8 vertices where the lines meet to form a point. Okay, so we all know shape names, and the basic ones are much easier, like your circle, your triangle, your square, your rectangle, maybe your oval. They're easier to remember, but sometimes we get a little bit confused between pentagon, 5, hexagon, 6, octagon, 8. But try to remember my little tips. So for a hexagon, remember it was X. It's got an X in, like hex, as. Remember the X. Remember octagon is like an octopus with 8 legs. So that will remind us on. And then we know the 5-sided shape must be the other name, which is a pentagon. Okay, on question 3 in your booklet today on page 59, it talks about symmetry. Now, I spoke about symmetry in the video last week. Now, symmetry means it's exact same on each side. And I told you about a butterfly, and our butterfly's wings are identical, and that means they're the same each side. So a line of symmetry is a line in the middle which shows it'd be the exact same. So if we folded that butterfly in half, it would be the exact same shape and size, and it's identical, it's the same. So that's a line of symmetry, and we often call it a mirror line, because if we put the mirror there, we'd see the other side and it'd look exactly like that. So symmetry means it's the same on each side. It's identical. Now, here are some objects, so some pictures, which have a line of symmetry. Now, in real life, these objects wouldn't always be symmetrical. So sometimes they might be, but often not. So an apple, if you took an apple out of the fruit bowl and cut it in half, okay, it might be pretty much the same, but it might be a bit misshapen and bigger on one side and smaller on the other. But you can see on this picture, if we cut it right down that middle where that line of symmetry is, it'd be exactly the same. And you can see that arrow, if we folded it in half, it'd be the same on each side, and so on for the other pictures. Now, we often learn line of symmetry, and it's very easy to look straight down the middle at a vertical line going from top to bottom to find the line of symmetry. But lines of symmetry aren't always top to bottom. So if I look at the square, I could find a line of symmetry going from top to bottom. So if I get my pen here, of course that would be a line of symmetry. Okay, so that's a good starting point. But what other lines of symmetry could we have? I'm just going to make that a little bit straight because I've gone a bit wonky, I think. Is that better? Let me zoom out a little bit and have a look. Yeah, that's okay. So it's exactly in half. What other ways could we find a line of symmetry? Oh, well done if you know we could go across. So we could do a line straight across, and that would be a line of symmetry because it's the same at the bottom as it is at the top. But there are more lines of symmetry. Can you spot them? Well done if you know that we can have diagonal lines of symmetry. So we could fold that square in half that way and it would be exactly the same. So it's exactly the same on each side. And then we could go the opposite way diagonally. Okay, so this shape has got 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of symmetry. So it can have more than one going in different directions. But symmetry means exactly the same on each side. So you need to imagine if you folded it in half, would it be exactly the same? So there are some shapes with lines of symmetry for you to look at. Okay, so onto your booklet then. You are completing page 59. Now, for your challenge today, because there are only 3 questions, which I'm sure you'll do amazing at, for your challenge on question 2, it says name these shapes. So I think you'll find that easy. So I want you to name the shapes, and I also want you to label with how many sides and how many vertices. And on the question 3, it says draw a line of symmetry. Now it says draw 1. If you can find more than 1, go for it, find as many as you can. But I also want you to label the shape name and how many sides and how many vertices those shapes have got, like we did on the previous boards. Try again. There, so we'd name the shape, we'd write how many sides and how many vertices. I can't wait to see how you do, and I will see you